Hey guys, what's going on? DuffKing56 here, back with another commentary. Today I'm taking a day off from Final Fantasy. As I said, I have to acquire some clips for you guys, some uploads, and maybe some stream dates based on the feedback. Thank you so much for the feedback on the last video. Really made my night last night. It's pretty terrible. I wasn't supposed to work, but I did. And that was because someone took my shift, and I usually go into work around 4:30. It's about a 20-minute drive. I like to get there 10 minutes early to get free time on the clock because you basically don't do anything until 5 there. And I get a call at like 4:15, and the guy who was taking my shift said that he couldn't work because his dad got him sick. And from then on, it was just a long string of apologies given to me, to which I really was just looking out the window and sighing because I really couldn't walk last night. I had PT on Friday, and they kicked the shit out of me. So, like, I can't even walk right now. Like I try to extend my leg, and I can't. Sorry about that. The futility of someone in pain really sucks. But last night I was really suffering until I got my dinner break. I opened up my phone. I saw all your guys' comments, and it just makes me so happy when I'm at work, limping around and crying. I wasn't crying, but I was really cold. I was doing bottles last night in a chair. I couldn't bend over. Either way, guys, the game you're watching is Super Monday Night Combat. It is the beta version, and if you like it, go to ubarrett.com and sign up for the beta on Steam if you're a PC player. I know some people told me that they haven't gotten it yet, and they've signed up a lot longer ago than I did, but you can post as much gameplay as you want from it, so that's why I'm doing it. The game's a lot of fun. Typically I play Medic Assault, but my mouse is broken, so I have to play things where I have to individually click, because like when I click, it holds down not goodly, so it kind of sucks. But in this game I'm playing the Assault class. He is basically like your machine gun. Like, he'll normally get a lot of kills, him and the Heavy. And you kind of go in and take out a lot of bots with them. And the way this game works is a lot different than Monday Night Combat. The leveling system is active during the game, so you start out as level 1 during the game, and you kind of work up from there. But then after the game, you get experience points like to your own levels. You can buy perks, and they call them endorsements, and they call them products in this game. Because the premise of the game is some sort of futuristic combat where steroids are legal, and basically you just play to please the crowd. It's like an arena-style, gladiator-style match where it's 6-on-6. And it's actually a lot of fun, very cartoony, but I love it. I bought Monday Night Combat for my Xbox. It was a lot of fun. And when I heard this game was coming out, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be free or not, but it looks like a lot of it's like a pay-to-play, pay-to-win, free-to-play, type game. But if it's free, I can't wait for its release. If it's not free, I'm buying it anyway. I'm really excited for it, and as you can see, I play more of a support. I just take out a lot of bots, put a lot of damage on enemies. I'm not really good at killing people yet because I don't have any good perks unlocked. I'm only level 8 or something like that, and there's a lot of people that are a lot higher than me in this game. Also, please excuse any frame rate because it was actually running pretty well on my PC. I had to turn a couple things down so I could record, but I've been having a lot of fun in it. And it is a pretty cool game, so I suggest you go at least check out the forums if you want to check out more gameplay. They have a lot of the gameplay section in the forum. You can sign up, and you can sign up for the beta on PC if you think your PC can run it. And if it can't, then I would honestly try, because I can record in pretty good quality for this and without too much of a frame rate loss. So like I said, I recommend it. Great company. They put out a lot of good stuff. It's just great. I want to really talk about today is kind of something we were talking about in philosophy class. I actually just wrote a paper about this. I thought it'd be interesting for you guys to listen. Kind of the stuff you do in philosophy classes. I don't know if you have philosophy classes in your high schools or if you have to take them in college, but we're required to take a religion and philosophy course for our first 2 years there. Well, not 2 years, first 2 semesters that we take them. You have to take a level 1 and level 2. I'm taking level 1 philosophy now. The teacher's actually a really cool guy. And he's like one of the teachers that, they're not like nerdy, so to speak, but they're just really cool, and they'll just like say stuff that is just completely off the wall. Like, he was talking about plagiarism the one day, and he said that he'd bring you up to the front and he'd beat you to a bloody pulp in front of everyone so everyone can learn the lessons, then he'll stake the paper through your heart. Now, I mean, it doesn't sound funny when I say it, but like, could you imagine in like a 9 o'clock class, 9 a.m., he's just talking about plagiarism and all that. He's like, yeah, so I'm just going to take you up to the front of the class and I'll beat you in front of everyone. That actually was pretty funny, and he's a funny guy. I'm really enjoying that class, and specifically the paper was about bias. And we watched a movie called 12 Angry Men. If you haven't watched it, I really suggest it. There's a lot of famous actors in that movie, but actually there's only one of them left alive now. But if you ever heard of Henry Fonda, Ed Begley, there's a couple others that slipped my mind, but they're pretty cool, good actors in that movie, and it's a fun movie. A lot of humor. The premise is very interesting. It's based on a jury, and they're trying to decide whether or not this not child, but he's like a teenager, he's probably like 17, I think, whether or not he's guilty or not guilty in a murder case. And a lot of different personalities clash, and it's really an interesting movie, and it was a perfect scaffolding for, I used a good one there, scaffolding for, it's a perfect scaffolding for the topic we were talking about, philosophy, and that was bias. And it was an interesting paper. The paper had us explain how there's 3 stages of the cognitial process, right? I'll explain those later, but there's 3 stages, and we had to talk about how bias kind of crept in and can affect. It can infect. That sounds more colorful, though. I'm talking objectively. It can affect some of our mental faculties when we're thinking. And I also had to prove or discuss what if biased thinking exists, that it necessitates unbiased thinking. So sorry, I'm trying to fumbling my words there. I can't really speak philosophy that well. I'm doing my best, okay? Don't judge, but you will. And it was it was a really interesting paper. I love writing papers that allow me to have much deeper experience with the movie. You know, I've seen it 3 times. I've done 3 different assignments on it, and it was just really, this one was just really kind of got me going. It was a 5-page paper. It was a 4 to 6 page paper. I wrote 5. I probably could have written more if I wanted to ramble, but I'm pretty sure I proved my point using a lot of good quotes from the movie, and my proof of unbiased thinking was actually kind of interesting, which is really what I want to talk about. But I guess I'll just give you the background really quickly on the cognitional process. So there's 3 different stages of our cognitional process. There's the first stage, which is data, or sort of our acquisition of information. And in this stage, we basically acquire everything possible to think and to kind of base our second stage on. So, you know, when let's just say you're trying to think about a math problem, okay? The data, which is another word for, the information, is what you're going to be looking at, right? So you're going to be looking at the problem itself. What am I going to have to do with this equation? Okay, it looks like addition and multiplication in the same equation, so we're going to need to use that. Now look at the data. Okay, I see the number 3, the number 2, the number 4, and there's an unknown, x. So that's kind of like your acquisition of knowledge. And second stage of your cognitional process is called your interpretation, or your understanding. So this is where you take that data and you kind of crumple it up into a little ball and you kind of interpret what you're going to do. So let's go back to the math problem. Like, my interpretation of this is, okay, since the 2 and the 4 are in parentheses, I'm going to have to do that operation first. And then since the 3 is outside the parentheses, I'm going to have to multiply after I do that addition. So I'll have that, sort of that product after you do your PEMDAS. I shouldn't be a math teacher. I really suck. But either way, you do your math problem, and then the third stage of your cognitional process is your judgment, okay? So your judgment is when you'd actually answer it, when you would either accept or reject the truth or whatever you're thinking about. So in the math problem, once you do all of your understanding, your interpreting, you do the problem, and you get an answer. And you're going to decide whether or not the answer is right or not. So, 6 times 3 is 12. That doesn't really look right to me. So you're rejecting sort of your interpretation. You go back and you do it again until you get 18, which I think is the answer. I'm trying to think back to what I was saying, and I don't want to sound like an idiot, but either way, that's your interpretation. That's your understanding, your judgment. And when you're done with that, you kind of have your answer. Now, I had to talk about how like bias could kind of inch into that, and it doesn't inch into math because math is pretty straightforward. It's logical. It's linear. There's really you can't be biased about addition. You can't be like, yeah, man, 2 + 2 = 5, because that would just be wrong. But then again, that is a bias, and that's kind of it will snowball and kind of creep into your other cognitive process. It'll defeat your purpose of solving the problem and accepting the truth that 6 times 3 is 18 and 6 times 3 is not 12. And then we had to take the statement that because biased thinking exists, we had to talk about how it necessitates unbiased thinking. Now, this is kind of the coolest part of the paper. I should have probably spent more time kind of developing my argument for this, but the proof I think I came up with is pretty good, in my opinion. I think I did a really good job with it. And I'll try to put it in the most sensical terms that I can, because I sound so weird when I talk about it. I was thinking about how I was going to present this, and I guess I'll just maybe I'll read it. Hold on, let me open it up really quick. I'll read what I wrote, and then I'll try to explain it. See, if I didn't explain it properly, or if I didn't write it properly, then I'd probably look like a real idiot because I already handed it in. Hold on, it's like Microsoft Word's opening up. I gotta read this shit to you. It's taking so long to. All right, let's go. Okay. I said, let's see. Okay, all the biased thinking in the movie 12 Angry Men brings up an interesting point about bias and unbiased thinking. While it may not seem like it, the appearance of biased thinking does necessitate that there be unbiased thinking. One may argue that everyone is biased due to an innumerable amount of reasons, and that because everyone is biased, no one could possibly think without bias. The fact of the matter is, if someone is biased or thinks with bias, the reality is that the truth is existent. Whether the truth may be underlying the biased thinker's version of quote-unquote the truth, or even the opposite of the thinker's version, the truth still exists somewhere. This necessitates unbiased thinking. If someone can think with bias, another could, if extremely adept at distancing one's personal prejudices and thinking objectively, theoretically, think without bias. If bias didn't exist, then no one could think without bias, because everyone would think and understand the truth. The mere existence of bias or biased thinking necessitates unbiased thinking, because if everyone thought with bias, no one could know the real truth. Since there are apparent truths in the world, coupled by the fact that people know and understand them, people have to think without bias about those truths to even fully understand them. So, kind of the way I prove this sort of concept is I took the fact that there are some sort of universal truths in this world, and we know them to be true because it's either been proven an exhaustive amount of times, or it's just completely apparent to our eyes. Like, I really can't think of a reason, because I really can't think of an example, because someone will probably turn me around, but like, I don't know, because then you get to this whole idea of perception and how that works and how everyone sees everything differently, blah, blah, blah. But there are some universal truths that everyone can agree on that exists. So, because that exists, because these truths can be seen, and the way people understand them is the truth, then they're thinking without bias. So, back to my point about the truth existing, if there's unbiased thinking, if you say, oh, he's thinking with bias, then there must be some truth that he's not thinking of. You know, that he's thinking of the opposite of the truth, or he's rejecting the truth by thinking biasedly. So, that means that unbiased thinking has to exist because someone knows the truth somewhere. And, you know, I thought I was pretty clever about thinking about that, you know. And then I kind of went to like a negative sort of proof where I said, well, okay, let's say that biased thinking doesn't exist. That means everyone knows the truth. So there is no concept of bias there. So everyone would be thinking the truth and no one would be thinking of bias. So that means bias and unbiased thinking wouldn't exist. But since we have the concept of biased and biased thinking, that means that unbiased thinking should exist. So hopefully you understood that. I don't know, I kind of went really fast through it because I don't have much time left. I mean, only 2 minutes, but you know, I did what I could, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was just because it's the fact that it had me think a certain way, it had me think a different way than I normally think, you know? I mean, when I think of philosophy, you know, I think of this deep thought, and this really intelligent existential thinking, and I have trouble thinking in philosophy, so when I came up with that proof, I was so proud of myself, you know? That's why I made it that much more of a meaningful assignment for me. I don't know, if you want to take anything away from this, is if you have an assignment that you don't think you necessarily are interested in, I would look even deeper, and I would try to see if you can make it more meaningful, because you're not going to hand in a finished product of any assignment, that is A-worthy if you didn't really enjoy the assignment in the first place. I mean, I could probably do that if I tried. I probably hand in A work all the time, and I hate assignments, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't care about it, it's not going to kind of, embody your whole person, your A mentality. And I think teachers can notice that. So, I don't know. It was kind of a ramble, but I wanted to talk about bias and the cognitive process. I've been saying cognitial the whole time, haven't I? Yeah, the cognitive structure, cognitive process. Sorry. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. It was kind of fun for me, and maybe you guys can get something out of it. Hopefully you've been listening for this long, because the gameplay is coming closer to an end. I mean, we ended up losing, but I thought I did a pretty good job. I'm not very good at getting kills in this game, like I said, but I played a pretty good support. I tried to push him back to the end, and as you can see, we weren't very victorious. Our money ball is getting destroyed, probably as I speak, and it's not good. It's not good, guys. But anyways, hopefully you guys have a great afternoon, a great Sunday evening. This is probably when it's going to go up. I'll see you guys later. I'll try to post some more Monday Night Combat later, some Halo Reach, some from Final Fantasy when I play it. I'm going to try my best. But anyways, guys, hopefully you have a great evening. I love you all. This has been Duffing56. See you guys. Bye.